Susie would have a heart attack. Probably a good thing she's not here.
The first bullet point right there.
Yeah.
Is that decibels or decimals?
A lot of times it's not usually on YouTube. So you want to mute it because it'll start.
Yeah, it should be an E instead of an A.
Mhm.
The decibels is BELS.
It is. So and all you do is minimize it.
That's misspelled.
Decibels.
See on live stream.
Decibel.
What's decibels? But it's
Got it?
ELS.
Yeah.
Okay. I will call the special meeting for Friday, March 25th, 2022 to order. The time is 12:30 PM. Item 2 is consideration of possible action, approve a noise variance application submitted by Rob Reiner Group associated with the Carter Park East Industrial Development, item 22094.
Okay, a little bit of background here so you know what's going on. This is related to the Carter Park East project, which is the commercial development and industrial development project here between Enon, Joel East, Oak Grove Road, and Wichita. The 500-acre plus development that's happening. 17 acres of that is within the city limits of Everman. About 6 or 7 months ago, the city council approved a zoning change on the 17 acres within Everman to include industrial. So we changed the zoning over there to industrial for the purposes of allowing them to come in and build an industrial facility there, as well as operate a concrete batch plant there. Their plans at some point changed, and they informed us that they weren't going to be locating the concrete batch plant there. They actually were going to locate it in the Fort Worth side over near Joel East. At some point, there was some miscommunication, and they did wind up moving a concrete batch plant into Everman without getting in touch with us before and discussing the rules. The subcontractor of the Rob Reiner Group reached out to Fort Worth. It is a permissible use within industrial zoning in the city of Fort Worth. They were under the understanding when they put in this concrete plant, they were in the city of Fort Worth, not in the city of Everman, therefore didn't need to contact us. So there was a bit of confusion there. Rob Reiner Group, which is the property owner and the developer, was under the assumption that the subcontractor who's operating this concrete batch plant went through the appropriate steps to put in place the concrete batch plant. They didn't. We began receiving complaints from residents who live very close to that, within a few hundred feet of the concrete batch plant, of the noise. And after investigation, we discovered that they are turning this concrete batch plant on at about 1 o'clock in the morning, and then running that batch plant throughout the day. That's necessary for them to do the type of development that they're doing. They have to start the concrete batch plant up early to be able to get the concrete trucks in. It takes a few hours for that concrete to mix, and then the concrete trucks begin about 3-4 o'clock in the morning and start making their pours for the development. The Rob Reiner Group's been great about working with us. This is the group that, when this was originally developed, agreed to convert the pond from being in the city of Everman to being in the city of Fort Worth that was originally over there, and allowing us to have a industrial facility within the city of Everman, which would assist with property tax revenue and growth within the city and jobs. But they also are the same group that was supportive of our flood mitigation efforts, or in our putting in additional ponding within the development to retain more water away from the city, more above and beyond what they were required to do. So we've tried our best to work with them as best as we can. But once we started receiving the complaints, we had to shut that concrete plant down. Police department went out there and told them they cannot operate at those hours because it is in violation of our noise ordinance. I took the liberty of printing off a copy of the noise ordinance, so you have a reference here, as well as a copy of our light ordinance, because they were also complaining about the lights, which we're addressing from an administrative manner. We'll make sure that they comply with the light issue. Their concern is that this is, if we do not allow them to operate at these hours, it will dramatically hinder their ability to continue this development and will prolong the issue. We don't want to prolong the development because that's not going to be beneficial to the city or the developer or the residents, because that just means the mess that we have over there right now with any, like we have with any development, is just going to carry on for much longer than what it should. So we're in support of them in them operating. However, we have got to find a medium here that satisfies the needs of the residents that are so close to this and get the noise level down. Within the noise ordinance, you'll see on page 3, it has a table here of what the decibel limits are. And within residential, you can see that the daytime decibel limits are 60, nighttime is 55. I took the liberty yesterday of going out there and measuring the decibels during the daytime at the residential property line, and it is currently only 78 decibels is what they're getting. It's still in excess of our ordinance, but it's not an extreme excess. So what we are proposing, or what the developer is proposing, is that they come in and construct a wall, a noise barrier wall, that will line the entire residential area right there along Floyd Street to reduce that down. I took the liberty of drafting a motion for your consideration. The motion will essentially require, it will provide them with a noise variance, but it will require them to build a wall that satisfactorily reduces the decibel levels to 60 or below. I wanted to also make sure that City Council only provided a temporary variance, so I made sure the wording was temporary. They explained on their application that they believe that this plant will need to be operational for 1 year. So I've added an expiration date on this variance of March 25th, 2023. And then I also wanted to provide to where council had the authority to revoke this variance at any point in time. Should we allow this variance, we allow them to go over there, and yet we still receive some sort of complaints or there's other issues that arise. I wanted to make sure that City Council had the ability to revoke that if you ever felt it was necessary. So I do support if they comply with these regulations that we put in place. Essentially, I would recommend that council provide the variance so long as they comply with these.
So they're only going to be doing this for a year?
Yes, ma'am. The concrete batch plant for a year. The development, the long-term development will be there, but once the construction is done with the development, that concrete batch plant won't be there any longer. It won't be necessary. It's a temporary concrete batch plant just for the purposes of construction.
Okay, so then what happens if the wall for the noise does not satisfy the residents?
If they can bring it down to 60, that'll put them pretty close to in compliance with what our noise ordinance is. They're constructing this wall with semi-trailers and hay, which is actually thicker than what the commercial noise reduction walls that they would purchase are. So I really don't think it's going to be an issue if they do put that up. If for whatever reason, that's one of the reasons why I put the subject to revocation. If for whatever reason it doesn't satisfy that, we'll go back out there. We'll take additional measurements of the noise, monitor, report back to council, And you can make the decision at that point whether you want to continue the variance or revoke the variance.
Okay,
As long as they meet our ordinance.
If they get it below 55 decibels at night, they're in compliance with the ordinance as is, and there wouldn't be much else for us we wouldn't
Okay.
have any recourse at that point.
Okay. So they're not producing concrete now, or they're just doing it during daytime hours?
So right now, they're just doing it they're very limited because we've shut them down. They're doing it during daytime hours only.
All right.
But it is significantly hindering their operations and development and construction.
Any questions? Comments? I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the noise variance application submitted for the Carter Park East project located near the intersection of West Enon Avenue and Floyd Street within the corporate city limits of Everman, subject to the following modifications. A noise reduction wall is constructed that satisfactorily reduces noise levels at all residential properties along Floyd Street and Trammell Avenue to 60 decibels or lower at all times. And this variance is temporary for a period of 1 year expiring on March 25th, 2023, and is subject to revocation at any point in time prior to March 25th, 2023, if the council so elects.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Poll the council.
Place 1,
Aye.
place 2,
Aye.
place 5,
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
motion carried.
Okay, so we are adjourned. The time is 12:39 PM.
9 minutes.